Jessica's library book crashed onto the counter with a hollow thud that reverberated through the apartment, rousing Beatrice from her sunlit nap spot. The tabby bolted across the tile, tail fluffed in alarm. I stared at the open cover, frozen, as a perfect smear of deep crimson lipstick gleamed like a warning beacon under the kitchen light. I knelt to examine it, heart hammering so fiercely I struggled to breathe. My coffee mug shifted on its saucer, the ceramic ringing a soft tone as I set it down with a trembling hand. The counter felt impossibly still, every hum of the refrigerator amplified in the sudden hush. Beatrice returned, padding cautiously to my side, mewing as if sensing my distress. I scooped her into my arms, pressing her soft fur against my chest, craving stability in the chaos. When I settled on the stool, Beatrice perched on my knee, and I finally let the shock register in my bones. The book lay open, Modern Poetics, its title page pristine except for that slash of color. I ran a fingertip across the smear, velvet smooth, defiantly feminine. My mind raced back through the past month. Jessica had insisted on borrowing the text for her master's thesis, her voice alight with excitement about Professor Adam Keller's offer to mentor her. I'd watched her pack that book into her bag each Wednesday evening, thinking only of her academic dedication. Now, my trust felt shattered like the glossy cover of her volume. I closed the book with deliberate care and reached for the stack of her thesis drafts beside it, printed pages littered with her handwritten notes and Adam's typed comments. I leafed through the drafts, searching for the scent I'd recognized earlier in her shampoo bottle, a whisper of jasmine entwined with cedarwood. I pressed a draft to my face, inhaling, there it was again, that heady perfume I'd once found intoxicating. Tonight, it felt like confirmation. I shoved the drafts aside and opened my laptop, fingers fumbling over the keys. A quick search for Adam Keller Brooklyn Studio Post Modern Poetics produced a faculty profile and forum posts praising his close-knit workshops. One grainy photo showed a light-filled loft crammed with stacks of books and scattered manuscripts. A man, tall, dark hair flecked with gray, leaned over a desk piled high with papers, pen in hand. Next to him, unmistakably, was Jessica's familiar looping handwriting on a thesis page. My breath caught in my throat. I minimized the browser and rifled through my email, typing Jessica Adam into the search bar. Messages surfaced, an invite titled PhD Excerpts Review, Wednesday 9 p.m., a brief Lyft receipt timestamped 11:23 p.m., and a confirmation for studio session, April 14th, with a Brooklyn address. I printed each document on our home printer, the pages appearing like damning evidence. The apartment felt smaller now, walls closing in with every revelation. I pressed my palms to the counter, leaning in until the smeared book cover dominated my view. The crimson mark seemed to mock me, bold, unapologetic, indisputable. I'd once considered Jessica's scholarly pursuits a testament to her brilliance, now I wondered how many of those midnight study sessions ended behind closed doors. Beatrice hopped down and brushed against my leg, her soft purr a plea for comfort. I hugged her, closing my eyes, letting resolve settle into my bones. Tomorrow, I promised myself, I would follow the trail to Professor Keller's loft, talk to the Lyft driver, even check hotel registries if I had to. I would piece together every lie until I held the full picture in my hands. For now, I closed the stained book, pocketed the printed receipts, and exhaled deeply. The night air outside the kitchen window held distant sirens and the hum of the city, but inside, a different tension pulsed through me. As Beatrice settled beside my foot, I whispered into the darkness, I will find the truth. And with that vow, I stepped into the uncertainty of what lay ahead, the lipstick mark a crimson map to guide me. I lie awake long past midnight, the hum of the refrigerator and Beatrice's soft purr my only company. The lipstick stain, fresh and brazen, haunts my thoughts. I replay the last few weeks, searching for clues I dismissed as harmless quirks of her academic life. It began innocuously. On a crisp Wednesday in early April, Emily bounded through the door at 9:15 p.m., cheeks flushed and eyes alight. She held her yoga mat like a trophy and exclaimed, "That was incredible, Professor Keller introduced a new breathing technique that left me practically weightless." I smiled, happy to see her euphoric, traced the faint outline of her silhouette against my memory, scarf damp, hair pulled back in a loose knot, her skin glowing as if lit from within. At the time, I thought it was the endorphins talking. A week later, I noticed a whisper of unfamiliar cologne on her scarf, a rich cedarwood scent she never used. She draped it over the banister and told me it was the studio's signature aroma, part of enhanced mindfulness experiences. I nodded, trusting her word. After all, she'd always embraced new wellness trends, from cryotherapy to sound baths. Then came the text messages. I caught fleeting glimpses of her phone screen while she typed in bed, "Can we meet?" from a contact saved as AK, and a reply, "I'll be there at 9. I pretended to read my own emails, but those snippets burned in my mind. When I later asked about it, she laughed and said, "That's Professor Keller, he's reviewing my chapter drafts at the Loft." I believed her, proud of her dedication and his mentorship. By mid-May, her Wednesday schedule shifted dramatically. She used to leave at 5:30 p.m. for yoga, return by 7 p.m., and unwind with herbal tea. Now she dressed in her studio gear and slipped out after dinner, returning close to midnight. I found her phone buried under pillows, the screen dark when she claimed exhaustion. One night, I heard the front door click at 12:15 a.m., followed by faint footsteps padding into the bedroom. Her silhouette hovered for a heartbeat before she collapsed beside me. I feigned sleep, pressing my hand to the sheets as if seeking warmth that wasn't there. My suspicions solidified the following week when I picked up our credit card statement. A charge for $87.40 at the Cerulean Suites on May 17 jumped off the page. The descriptor read "Wellness Stay," but online research revealed a boutique hotel 2 miles from Pure Flow Yoga. I confronted her over coffee the next morning. Her smile was tense. "They offered a steam room trial," she said softly. "I thought you'd love to try it." I swallowed my doubts and nodded, chalking it up to her generosity in letting me experience her world. The most damning clue arrived on a dull Tuesday afternoon. I returned home unexpectedly early and found a navy bomber jacket draped across the dining room chair, its pilot wing insignia familiar from a rideshare she once praised. I slipped it onto the rack and opened the kitchen door to ask her about it. The apartment was empty. A quick call to her phone sent me to voicemail. My heart lurched. 5 minutes later, I heard the click of the front door and her hurried footsteps. She appeared in the hallway, towel wrapped around her shoulders, water still dripping from her hair. She claimed she'd run out of shampoo at the studio and used the hotel gym's shower instead. I forced a tight smile and said nothing, though my mind raced. That evening, I sat across from her in our living room, tea steaming in my mug, and watched her flip through her thesis drafts. I studied the margin notes, Professor Keller's scrawled encouragement, Jessica's excited underlines. He signed off with, fondly, AK. Beneath her warm gratitude, I sensed something deeper, an attachment I didn't share. Now, in the dark, every late-night charge, every borrowed towel, every furtive message paints a picture. Her Wednesday evenings are a tapestry of half-truths and hidden rendezvous. The lipstick stain was the final stroke on that canvas. Beatrice leaps onto the bed and curls against my side, purring. I stroke her head and draw a slow, steady breath. Tomorrow, I will trace every one of these breadcrumbs to their source: audio logs, hotel registries, jasmine-scented shampoo bottles. I will document each lie before I confront Emily. For now, I lie awake, resolve hardening in my chest. I will learn the truth behind her supposed wellness routine, no matter how painful the discovery. I wake before dawn, the apartment still draped in darkness except for the pale glow of streetlights slipping through the curtains. My chest tightens with the weight of betrayal as I slip out of bed, careful not to wake Jessica, and pad silently to the home office where my laptop waits like a command center. The first task is securing the damning boarding pass PDF I discovered on the shared printer. I locate Harris_Jessica_AK_flight.pdf, right-click to encrypt it with a strong 16-character passphrase, then move it into a hidden folder aptly named evidence_wellness/priority_proof. My pulse hammers as I confirm the details. April 12th, one-way seats 12B and 12C under Harris, Jessica, and Smith, A. Keller, charged to our household account. I close the file and exhale slowly. Next, I log into our joint banking portal and export 6 months' worth of statements into PDF form, watching the download bar creep forward like a countdown. With the files on my desktop, I open each and use the search function to isolate entries for Wednesday evenings and charges over $50. The results appear: $72.80 at Café de España on May 5th, $95.60 at Café de España on May 12th, $68.20 at the Ocean View Lounge Bar on May 19th, $125.50 at Cerulean Suites Wellness Stay on June 2nd, and a cleanser on June 9th that doesn't match any yoga studio invoice. I create an Excel spreadsheet titled wellness_charges with columns for date, time, vendor, amount, and Jessica's excuse. Under June 2nd, I type wellness retreat in the excuse column, quoting her words when I casually inquired. For each line, I annotate the likely lie: post-yoga steam room, networking event, experimental wellness program. My hands tremble, but the truth takes shape in neat rows of black text. I save the spreadsheet to the evidence_wellness folder and move on to email. Opening our shared Gmail account, I search for Keller, Professor AK, and Adam. A thread titled Final Thesis Draft Review, dated May 19th at 10:32 p.m. catches my eye. I click and find Jessica's draft attached, comments from A. Keller in red ink, and a closing line: "Let's discuss this Wednesday at 9 p.m. at my loft." I download the entire thread as a PDF and print it on our home printer. The printer hum rattles through the quiet apartment as the pages roll out. I gather them into a neat stack and slide them into the evidence_wellness folder. My mind flashes back to her whispered, "Almost done" text the last time I phoned. Another layer of deception uncovered. Next, I gather GPS data. I open Google Maps timeline on our shared Google account, select the date May 5th, zoom into the evening hours, a ping at Pureflow Yoga at 6:02 p.m., then a jump to Cerulean Suites at 7:15 p.m., and finally back to her office building at 12:28 a.m. I screenshot that sequence and save it as location_logs_May5.png. I repeat this for May 12th and June 2nd, capturing pings at those same intervals. Each screenshot goes into the evidence_wellness/location_logs subfolder. The chronology is undeniable. Her phone doesn't linger at the studio, it caroms from studio to hotel to office. The next step is call logs. I request our phone billing history through the carrier's online dashboard, a service we pay for automatically but I've never used. Within moments, the PDF of detailed call records lands in my inbox. I open it and scroll to Jessica's number: 3 calls after midnight on Wednesdays, May 5th, 12:47 a.m. to Adam's number, May 12th, 1:02 a.m., and June 2nd, 12:55 a.m., each over 8 minutes long. I screenshot the relevant rows and add them to the evidence_wellness folder under call logs. Now I have times, dates, durations, proof that after her yoga, she's talking with Adam long into the night. My phone buzzes with a calendar reminder: 3 p.m., attorney meeting with Richardson and Cole. I skim the list of tasks, gather printed evidence, review legal grounds, ask about freezing assets, inquire about civil action for fraudulent use of joint funds. I check off the reminder and plan my afternoon accordingly. But first, I need visual surveillance at home. I retrieve 2 Wi-Fi cameras from the closet, compact white devices that resemble smoke detectors. On a ladder in the living room, I mount the first in the corner near the front window, angling it toward the entrance so it captures anyone coming or going. In the hallway outside her study, I secure the second on the wall, ensuring it will record entries and exits. After plugging them into the outlet and connecting to the home network, I label the feeds in the camera app as FrontCam and OfficeCam. I test each feed on my phone. FrontCam shows the sidewalk beyond the window, OfficeCam shows empty hallway. I configure both to record on motion detection and upload footage with timestamps to a secure, cloud-based folder. If Jessica tries to sneak out at 12:30 a.m. after her next session, I'll have infrared proof. I pause to pour a cup of espresso, black, bitter, unyielding. The coffee sting grounds me in purpose. My reflection in the microwave door shows me with dark circles, a tight jaw, but eyes alight with resolve. I return to my laptop and draft an email to the law firm. Subject: confidential consultation request, marital infidelity funded by shared assets. Dear Ms. Richardson, I have compiled documented evidence of unauthorized travel and late-night rendezvous between my spouse and her mentor. I'd appreciate an urgent consultation to discuss protective steps and potential recovery of misused funds. Best, Daniel W. I attach the PDF boarding pass and summary spreadsheet. I save the draft and schedule it to send at 2:45 p.m., 15 minutes before my appointment. Next, I need sworn testimony. I call Mrs. Delgado, our neighbor 2 doors down, who once offhandedly mentioned a black sedan idling outside our building late on Wednesdays. She answers sleepily. I speak quietly, Mrs. Delgado, it's Daniel. I need your help with something very private. Can you meet me at my apartment around noon? I need an affidavit regarding any unusual activity you've seen on Wednesday nights. She hesitates, then agrees. Relief flickers through me, her statement will corroborate my timeline. Before leaving for the day, I pack my briefcase, the printed boarding pass, printed emails, spreadsheets, GPS screenshots, call log screenshots, USB drive with encrypted proof, a pen, notebook, and business cards for research. I glance at the stack of Jessica's thesis drafts on the desk and feel a twinge of something: sorrow, betrayal, anger. I close my laptop and exhale, knowing the confrontation ahead will shatter our life as we know it. Stepping outside, I lock the door behind me and pause. The early morning light feels different, brittle with anticipation. I hold Beatrice's bowl to my chest and murmur, "Stay safe, buddy." I drive to the deli on 4th Street for Mrs. Delgado's affidavit, then to Richardson & Cole's office for legal counsel. My life has become a quest for truth, each piece of evidence a stepping stone toward understanding why my wife sought solace in another man's arms. I will gather every fact, verify every claim, and, armed with irrefutable proof, I will confront Jessica, and decide the fate of our marriage on my own terms. That evening, I waited until Jessica returned from her research meeting. The kitchen island was illuminated by a single pendant lamp, and on it lay the evidence_wellness folder, its contents spread like cards on a detective's table, the encrypted boarding pass printout, the wellness_charges spreadsheet, GPS screenshots, call log captures, Mrs. Delgado's affidavit, and the email thread marked "Late Night Thesis Review." Jessica stepped through the door at 8:02 p.m., yoga bag over one shoulder, the faint scent of eucalyptus on her scarf. She paused at the sight, scanning the array of documents as though she'd walked into a crime scene. I remained seated on the stool, arms folded, voice steady. "Please sit," I said, nodding to the chair opposite me. She hesitated, then placed her bag on the floor and sank into the seat, eyes flicking nervously. Beatrice patted in behind her and curled beside her feet. I picked up the boarding pass printout. "Explain this," I said, sliding it across to her. The flight details: LAX to the Rocks, April 12, one-way, gazed back. Jessica's face paled as she recognized her own handwriting in the reservation. Her voice trembled. "Daniel, it's not what you..." I tapped the spreadsheet on the counter. "And these charges?" I pointed to the row marked June 2nd, Cerulean Suites, $125.50. "You called it a wellness stay. This is a boutique hotel." I flipped through the rows: Café de España, Ocean View Lounge Bar, each annotated with her excuses. She closed her eyes, shoulders shaking. I pulled out the GPS screenshots. "Look at your phone's location on May 5, 7:15 p.m., I said, holding up the map image. "Pure Flow Yoga. Or Cerulean Suites." Her lips parted but no words came. I tapped my phone to show the call log images, Jessica's number dialing Professor Keller at midnight, 3 Wednesdays in a row. Mentorship calls require 8-minute conversations at midnight. My tone was quiet, but each word landed like a steel rod. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she whispered, I never meant to hurt you." I slid Mrs. Delgado's affidavit across. "Our neighbor saw you escorted into the lobby by a man in a pilot's jacket." The paper trembled in her hand. She stared at the typed statement confirming her late-night visits. She looked up, voice cracking, "Adam and he listens to me. You've been so busy." I stood and took a deep breath. "I supported your thesis. I bought you Lyft credits. I believed every excuse." I crouched to gather the printed emails and evidence folder. But trust isn't a blank check. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the separation decree. "I filed for temporary separation this afternoon. Our accounts are frozen. You have until tomorrow to vacate." Beatrice let out a soft mew. Jessica reached to pet her, but Beatrice pulled away, looking up at me. I interpreted her loyalty and squared my shoulders. Jessica's voice wavered. "Daniel, please." I shook my head. "Please don't. I won't pretend this isn't betrayal. Tonight, I need honesty. Tomorrow, I need separation." She rose, clutching her bag and the evidence, tears streaming. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice barely audible. I watched her turn and flee the apartment. The door clicked shut, the latch echoing like finality. Beatrice pressed against my legs as I sank onto the stool, heart pounding. The confrontation was over, the truth was laid bare. In the hushed aftermath, I felt both grief and a resolute clarity. This chapter had ended, and I would build the next one free of deception. I stood on the courthouse steps clutching the signed separation decree, its embossed seal marking the final break in our marriage. Jessica's signature was beside mine, severing ties that once felt unbreakable. The late afternoon light filtered through my overcoat, and I exhaled, feeling tension drain from my shoulders. The judge's gavel had been more a formality than a blow. Now, the reality settled in. Back at the apartment, I found the evidence and memories box I'd packed after our confrontation. Inside lay the stained library book, boarding pass, spreadsheets, and our wedding photo, memories and proof of betrayal. I carried the box to the storage closet and slid it onto the top shelf, out of sight. Next, I retrieved a new Polaroid of Beatrice perched on her cat tree, looking directly at the camera with clear, unguarded eyes. I taped it to the refrigerator door, a daily reminder of loyalty and truth. In the kitchen, I cleared the island of papers and took a deep breath. The apartment felt emptier without Jessica's presence, but also lighter. I brewed a pot of strong black coffee, no sugar, no cream, and sipped slowly, savoring its bitter clarity. My phone buzzed with messages, Lisa offering support, Mrs. Delgado checking in to confirm our next witness statement, and a confirmation from Richardson and Cole for our post-separation consultation next week. I replied with gratitude and closed the phone. I walked to my study, formerly shared with Jessica, and flicked on the lamp. On the wall hung a single oak desk and an ergonomic chair, the opposite side was bare. I'd already repurposed the space as my writing nook, dismantling the second desk. My laptop lay open to a draft titled, When Trust Fractures, A Path to Recovery. I'd outlined chapters on recognizing red flags, gathering evidence, navigating legal separation, emotional healing, and rebuilding identity. Now, I tapped the cursor at the top. After betrayal, the first step toward healing is clarity. Words flowed steadily as I recounted my journey from doubt to resolution. Late that afternoon, I met my longtime friend Amir at the Riverfront Cafe. Over sandwiches, I pitched him my idea, a hybrid workshop combining legal guidance, emotional support, and financial planning for partners of professionals in caring fields, wellness instructors, therapists, mentors, anyone vulnerable to boundary breaches. Amir's eyes lit up as he sketched a framework on a napkin, quarterly seminars, one-on-one coaching, a membership community. Your story will resonate, he said. Let's make it real. I felt purpose ignite anew. Walking home along the waterfront, Beatrice on her leash, the city skyline shimmered under the setting sun. Joggers and couples passed, absorbed in their own worlds. I paused by a lamppost and knelt to scratch Beatrice's ears. Tomorrow, buddy, we take the next step, I whispered. She wagged her tail, her calm presence anchoring me. That evening, I cooked a simple pasta primavera, Jessica's favorite, from memory. I plated it with care and poured a glass of red wine. I set the table for two and then sat alone, toasting the empty chair. To new beginnings, I murmured, and sipped. The flavors were vivid, each bite a reminder that life continues in unexpected ways. Before bed, I finalized the first blog post, scheduled to publish at dawn. Titled, When Trust Fractures, A Path to Recovery, it featured a Polaroid of Beatrice looking straight at the reader, no distractions, just honesty. I closed the laptop, turned off the lamp, and settled on the sofa where Beatrice curled beside me. Her steady purr and gentle warmth lulled me toward sleep. As I drifted off, the apartment quiet except for our breathing, I felt gratitude for the cracks in my life that let the light in. Betrayal had shattered my world, but from the pieces emerged clarity, purpose, and resilience. Tomorrow marked the start of a new chapter, one built on truth, unwavering resolve, and the quiet loyalty of a faithful cat at my side.